And we are live. Welcome to the weekly SEO news for week 14. That was last week. We've compiled all the good stuff. And we're going to go through it today. My name is Frederick Drost, and we've got Linus. And we both work at Precies Digital, where we do SEO. And let's just jump right into them. So the first one here is one of those SearchPilot cases. They do all these tests, which is a great way of actually creating content to attract users. I mean, that is just pitch perfect marketing. But yeah, seems having a location in the beginning of the title helps CTR positively. So, your title could be like and then Austin, Texas, and they just kind of moved it to the beginning. Okay, worth testing for any clients that have local pages. This one I didn't have a link because it's in part of. I receive a newsletter email, I think weekly, about the Google lawsuit or any Google lawsuits, which is quite an interesting newsletter, very niche. But this one is really basically what one of the former Google executives has confirmed, that Google just really wants people to stay on Google, and they don't care. They don't want people to go on websites. So the more they can, keep people on Google, the better. And I kind of know that. It's just nice to have somebody say it. But it's why I'm very, very happy that they're getting broken up. They have too much power, and the web is power.
I mean, anyone who knows how businesses work should realize this is what Google is going to do. That's how they make the most money. They're not in this because they believe in free information flow. They believe in this because they'll make them a lot of money. It makes a lot of sense to me that this is what they're doing.
But I also feel like content creators and people creating websites, and they get traffic, and suddenly they can make money off just a search engine if they're not giving us incentive to continue. And so it'll just make the internet worse over time. And that will hurt Google in the end.
I don't really agree with that, to be honest. I don't know if I think Google, they know that if their service isn't good, people won't use it. So I think it's a balancing act here. And I don't think they're keeping people on Google just to make money. It has to make money and increase the user experience. And I think in theory, in a best case scenario, what they're adding should increase user experience.
Yeah, and that was the perspectives of the user. I'm talking about the content creators, the people, our clients, the websites. Why create cool, unique, awesome content if AI overviews just takes it, rehashes it, we never get a click and a brand mention? So I think they kind of have to do that. Otherwise, we won't do it, and then there's nothing to show people, and then that deteriorates over time. It's like, well, your AI is trained on itself at one point. It's creating content and training on itself, and then you just stale. So
yeah,
it's not a long-term view, is what I'm saying. I think Google is trying slowly, but yeah, again, I think this is just if you have any discussion with a client around Google's motives, this is good. Google, another statement I'm not truly believing. Google confirms you can't add EEAT to your web pages. So experience, expertise, authority, and trust is kind of a concept. I think Google is just saying that because it doesn't want people to abuse it. So people who are black hat, gray hat SEOs who just want to throw AI content, what they would like to do is rank better, and they might just fake authors and fake credentials. And Google is probably saying, don't do that. But we have cases suggesting you do that. That actually helps. So I think Google, this is very much a marketing thing. Like, don't do this, please.
I get what they're saying. Like, if you're if you sell drugs, you can't add EEAT to your website demonstrating that you're actually promoting good health. Like, you can't add these signals even though you input what should signal it. Like, you can't lie, basically. But their algorithm has flaws in how it audits these, and that makes it so that you actually can do this. So it's a bit like, I think in theory they're correct, but in practice, not
I see
always.
what you're saying. Okay, yeah, that's a good perspective. Actually, I can agree with that, honestly. Again, I take everything Google says with a big grain of salt. Next up, we've got EEAT in the AI narrative. So this is a cool guide from Search Engine Journal. short version of this: to stay visible in AI search, double down on genuine subject matter, authority, rigorous data creation, solid knowledge graph presence, EAT, again, AI integrations. Without that, it'll bypass your site. So it seems like AI is based on this analysis. They care about EEAT and the people, and I think that's good to program that in. That we need to see an author and try to kind of work with that. And this is just good SEO as well. I mean, create cool, unique content like SearchPilot.
Yeah.
Good, done. They will probably get featured if I ask, if it's in the training data. Next up, we've got LLMs here. Still struggle with facts. So a good link for anyone who's kind of doubting or just wants to publish AI content without proofreading. That's kind of why I put them here. This is more of a, hey, this analysis shows they still struggle with a lot of facts. And they also mentioned that it might not be very easy to fix in the short term. So let's just be careful.
Is it even fixable at all?
Well, that's
genuine question.
I don't know. I don't know. It seems like it might. I think you can improve. Can't 100% fix it because they are like this black box kind of generation, and you tweak it and then it gets better. And I think what they need to do is integrate modules with fact checking, and I think that's where Google is strong. Is it has knowledge graph, which I think is a stronger fact based kind of database. So Google can definitely, and even then, AI overview seems to just lose it all the time anyway. So, yeah.
I because I'm just thinking about this part, like we just discussed, in that you can't add EEAT in theory, but in practice you can bypass the algorithm. And I feel EEAT has been a thing since, what's it, 2017? So we're nearing 8 years. There's still hallucinations, if you want, when it comes to just the regular algorithm. I feel like these are much more complex algorithms. I just mean, when you don't have means of deduction, like computers don't, then hallucination, I think, will always become an issue since they have to handle so much information.
Yeah. I mean, there's probably a way to make it better, but to completely erase it, no. And I honestly, this is where you could even make an AI that is conscient and is as good as a human. And we also hallucinate facts.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point.
There's the Mandela effect. That we as a collective human species thinks Nelson Mandela died or did not. Like, remember though, the Mandela effect is real. We hallucinate on a like society scale. That's pretty fun.
Well, I mean, that's a great point. Really great point. I think that's super interesting.
Thank you. Yeah. Google the Mandela effect for anyone listening. It's really interesting. Some people actually say that's it's a proof of multiple dimensions and that they're overlapping, and that's why we're getting wrong facts. Which I'm not going to get into, but it's fun.
Fred, we're in SEO.
I know
multiple dimensions.
I wanted to bring it up because I'm nerding out about that. But yeah. Anyway, next up, Google News has fully transitioned to automatically generated publication pages. Again, this is specifically for news publishers. They should check the updated help doc. So just do that because I know they rely a lot on Google News, Discover, etc. So have a go at that. And here's a small little fun fact: JavaScript loaded images can be indexed. Good. Next. And again, Google also says, I think Google had like a conference and they're taking a lot of the statements from Google and generating articles here. But Google also said if you just publish AI scale content that's not original, quality raters will give you or should give you the lowest score possible. Makes sense. Again, Google doesn't want this to happen. We also don't recommend just publishing low quality AI content. That is not good. I'd rather just kind of have none at that point. And then a cool little custom regex here for Search Console to surface high likelihood AIO keywords, AI overviews. It's coming to Europe, these AI overviews, and the whole thing is tracking them. Google Search Console does not give us the ability to kind of narrow them down. So I think there's a lot of different ways, and this is one I think that's kind of a quick fix to kind of see if you can get an idea of what's going on. So thank you, Jess Schultz on Twitter. Follow her. And then another cool thing here from Aleda Solis on she made a chart on areas to optimize for GEO, so generative experience optimization, or AEO, answer engine optimization, whatever acronym will stick, we'll figure out. So just have a really cool chart that I'll show you here for people watching the video. Something I just kind of put in my chart folder. As always, she does great work. Follow her on Twitter as well. And I will pass the microphone to you, Linus.
Cheers. Just something HO2 launched, which is, as I understand it, still in beta, but is that you now can check LLM brand mentions with the brand radars, that they call it. I think it's super interesting. And Brody Clark did a test on it, and he was very impressed. I still have not tried it out, but very, very excited to try it out. And next one is very, very important where it comes to accessibility laws, and that they're coming into effect in the EU in June 2025. I think it was 19th of June. I'm not completely sure. So I think, especially here, if you as a company or one of our, if you have a client who this has not come up yet, or they have not talked to anyone about this, this is something that's very, very important to bring up, just to make sure that we're all complying with the law.
Yep, 28th of June. I'm showing the EU website here. We couldn't really agree. Is it CRO? Is it SEO? I think anyone with digital marketing in any area should bring this up. Yeah. Because you can probably get a high fine, if I know EU right. If you're a very, very small little website, do they even have the money to pursue you? That's not the question you should be asking. But I always, how important is it to reach that deadline? It depends on a lot of factors. If you're a big player, watch out. Because they tend to go for people who can pay those fines as well.
Yeah. And I think also it's important to highlight when it comes to laws, I don't think they make a difference whether it's SEO or CRO. So I think here it's more like, don't think about that too much. Yep. And just mention it ASAP.
Yeah, there was a whole thing about, for me, there's an interesting aspect between, you make the website more accessible, and people who have access disabilities can search. They will search in different ways, voice search, etc. And so that can affect who you're targeting. And for example, for people selling reading glasses, accessibility should be in the top of your list for your website. People can't see well. But I also think it can tie into SEO. If I was a search engine and you write a lot of accessibility tags in your HTML, I would use that for something. So yeah. Again, for example, an alt text for internal links is something I think should just be an HTML tag. I don't see why that the context you can give with an alt text for internal links is so cool. So
yeah. Agreed. Next up is Brody Clark, our resident guru, Sultan, our king, who's done some research into the Google free listing grid types, which I thought was super, super interesting. And he checked the product queries for 3,049 products, and checked the free listings grids of 5 of them. I guess it's 5 that exist, where the most popular one was the popular products free listings grid, which I would say is not very eye-opening in itself. I'm a bit shocked that it's just almost 82% of queries. I thought this would be nearing 100 when it comes to product queries, to be honest, because I see it all the time. But I think it's very interesting here to see which of the listing grids show where in the search results. So I think it's quite interesting that the listing grid that showed the most, the popular products, is also the one that places the highest in Google search. So I think when you're dealing with an e-commerce client or you drive an e-commerce business, that you take into account all these listing grids, and also not maybe just looking at where they place in the SERPs, but also look at which one is the most interesting one for you, and do you have all the data in your feeds? Do you have the information enough on your website? And do you show it all in your schema as well?
Yeah.
So a lot to unpack in this one. It's I think if there's one thing here that's a must read, except accessibility laws, is this one.
I did put a little more. I kind of maybe I throw the must reads around too much, but it's honestly it's just taking a step back. Like if you are an e-commerce, it's about knowing what Google offers for visibility, and it's so sad if you have a lot of deals and price discounts and you're not being shown in those different. Like you can get more visibility, and you might as well use that. So there's a huge connection between like product owners, I suppose, on e-commerce stores and then SEO, which is merged at in this later years. So yeah, I agree. And it's just to clarify, Popular Products is a free product grid, right? Popular Products is just one
Yes.
of those free ones. So
Yeah.
let's just put that out there because it's free.
Yeah. I think all of these are free.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and again, this
Um,
is based on US desktop search, so maybe you're seeing
yeah.
more. Maybe in Sweden it is just higher. Who knows? But they
Yeah.
came
No.
recently, right, to Sweden?
Yeah. I think they've been around for some while. I think some of the other grid types are newer,
Mm.
but I think Popular Products have been around for a while.
I
Also
just
think not to spend too much time on this either, but I think it's also very like interesting to see, because sometimes you stare too blindly into how you perceive the data, and I think this is a really good insight into how the data actually is. Like for example, you might see we have a lot of pre-listing or products in pre-listings, but they're not outperforming our category pages, for example. And this could show that maybe they're in the deals on grid types, which are at the bottom of the SERP, and therefore they don't get clicked as much. So I think that's also a very interesting insight.
Okay. Yeah. Agreed. All right.
Next up, Instagram stories can, if you turn them into reels, they can appear in the Google results as short videos. And I think we touched upon this last week, but more and more, I think SEO is going to become more and more platform agnostic, and the wider like footprint you can have in social, websites, YouTube, everything, this will just increase your potential of SEO.
Yeah, I think it's smart for Google to integrate all these other platforms that it also doesn't own. Yeah, it doesn't own Instagram. Yeah, so that's Meta. Yeah, great, because people are using them, and you should integrate them. And that's a good search engine. It's like multi-platform across everything, like kind of like a generalized AI, but with search, right? Like that's what you kind of should aim for. So I agree.
Yeah, cool. And this was something that was surfaced to us internally, and that is that AIO seem to only trigger in the EU for if you're logged in and you're over 18 years old and have English language browser, I think it is, and you use an English query. So I think that's also a bit interesting that they're trying this out, but I don't know, are they really trialing this if it's just in English?
I see two options here to make this short. Either they're not allowed to do it in local language because they're kind of skipping EU laws by doing it in English, so they can still test it, or their models simply are just doing bad things with those local languages. They might have tested it and seen, oh, this is not good in Sweden, it doesn't get it, and so yeah, I don't know.
That's a great shot. I didn't think about that this is a good way of bypassing the laws.
It might
Well
be. I don't know
done.
the law. I don't know.
Well done. And this one, I think, just an interesting tidbit, which is that for 20 of the websites invited to Google's Creator Summit, we can see that AIO has taken quite a bit of a toll on their traffic. both overall visits and unique visits. Doesn't come to a shock to anyone. I think I feel like this is the new normal, really.
Yeah. It's somebody in this. I'm just gonna bring it up. I know we're getting a bit long here. If you have to jump out, I'll finish myself. But the one said how much of this decline could actually be explained by a significant behavioral shift after COVID, and then people returning more to offices. And that's like, oh wow, that was like okay. And then and I also think there's another thing that is do we still get conversions? And I think what's interesting is for e-commerces, can we still end up being the final conversion point and Google just using our content to kind of help with proper brand mentions? And that's interesting. But if you're a pure content website, a blog, for example, that can hurt you because if you're living off ad revenue, yeah, that's a problem, a huge problem. So yeah, just and people, they eat at night. Their families eat because of this. So Google, get a grip. Don't be evil. Remember that slogan? Just don't be evil.
They don't, Fred.
They changed that slogan.
As far as I'm aware, hasn't even existed.
Yeah.
Final piece of news is key takeaways from Friends of Search, which was a yearly gathering for SCM professionals in Amsterdam. And I think just highlighting one thing here is they talked, or he raised that SEO is shifting from tactics to brand-led visibility. And I think this really hammers home what I think we're about at Proofreading, and especially what I am about when it comes to SEO and marketing, is that you need to think about everything at once now and not just think about getting siloed into where like your specific niche, where like we need to do everything now. And like think about everything.
Yeah, like link building. Oh, we need links. Oh no, we need content. Like no, it's holistic. I 100% agree. And I think we have a really good case for a client that I can say here, normative, that we actually submitted to Search Awards, which is very much what I think we really did create. Like we really focused on the brand, and we did apply EAT signals, but it wasn't for the it was also just like people coming in need to trust you and figure out who is writing this and who's behind the scenes, and it just helped every aspect of their website from search to a lot of other things. So I think that's a really good case. Sadly didn't win. Well, there you go.
I think one final piece of news that I just saw is that in the UK, AIO reviews now appear for over 18% of keywords.
Wow. Okay. Wow. UK. Right. Roger that. Yeah. And again, mostly a lot of that is informational, and some of them are long tail. So yeah. But again, how many percent of queries are new? And a lot of those might be long tail. So interesting to see. I would be interested to see the search behavior. If people get better answers from really long tail keywords, will people just start asking really long questions to Google? Will I start seeing in SEMrush like a 2-line, like a chatbot kind of query, right? I think we might start seeing
100% will.
Yeah, right. I mean, I can't wait. I just can't wait to see the weird questions people ask, because we don't get that from LLMs yet. We don't really have that data. Thank you very much, Linus.
Thank you.
And anyone watching this or listening, please like, please subscribe. And if you have any questions, comments, let me know. Look at the video description or podcast description. There'll be all the links you saw here with nice, beautiful descriptions without all the typos you see here, because I saw a few. And I will see you next week.